A cold wind blows across the Heartland ranch. The horses stand still, the sky turns golden, and Amy looks out across the fields with a quiet sadness. Something has changed. After everything the Bartlett-Fleming family faced in Episode 1, Heartland Season 19 Episode 2 feels like the calm before a storm. But is it really calm, or is it the moment before everything begins to shift again? The story of Heartland has always been about family, courage, and healing, but Season 19 opens with a deeper kind of emotion. In Episode 1, we saw Amy trying to find her balance again, not just as a mother but as someone still learning to live with loss. Her connection with the horses has always been her way of understanding herself, but now it feels like even that bond is being tested. Every quiet moment at the barn carries the memory of Ty, and that silence speaks louder than any words. Jack watches her from a distance, the way only Jack can, protective but never overbearing. His wisdom often hides behind few words, yet you can see the care in his eyes. He knows Amy's strength, but he also knows how pain lingers, how it can live inside even the strongest heart. There's a scene in Episode 1 where Amy almost smiles at something small, a soft nudge from Spartan, or Lindy's laughter, and you can tell that this is how healing begins in Heartland. Slowly, gently, like morning light after a long night. Meanwhile, Lou carries her own burden. The ranch has always demanded everything from her: her time, her heart, her focus, and now her role as mayor stretches her even thinner. She's torn between duty and the home that shaped her. In the last episode, we saw her questioning if she's lost a part of herself that once found peace in these fields. It's the kind of conflict that makes Heartland what it is: real, relatable, and quietly powerful. Tim, on the other hand, is restless. His energy contrasts the calm of the ranch. There's always a new challenge, a new way for him to prove himself or make things right, even when no one asked him to. His story often brings conflict, but beneath it all, there's a man still trying to find where he truly belongs in a family that has forgiven him more times than he can count. As the sun sets over Heartland, we feel the unspoken bond that ties them all together. Episode 2 is set to build on those fragile emotions left hanging after Episode 1. It's not about dramatic fights or sudden twists. It's about the quiet choices that shape who we become after loss, the way we rebuild trust, and the way love keeps the ranch alive through every storm. Something is coming, and every moment of silence feels like the show is preparing us for it. There's a strange peace at Heartland as Episode 2 begins to take shape. The ranch looks calm, but anyone who has watched his family long enough knows that calm rarely lasts for long. The air feels heavy with unspoken emotions, the kind that sit between people when words aren't enough. Amy walks through the barn early in the morning, brushing her fingers against the horses' coats, lost in thought. She doesn't say a word, but her silence says everything. Something inside her is changing, and maybe she doesn't even realize it yet. This episode feels different, not because of grand drama, but because of the emotions beneath every small moment. The sound of boots on gravel, the creak of the stable door, the quiet breath of a horse, all of it adds to the feeling that something big is waiting just beyond the horizon. Amy's relationship with Spartan becomes the center of this calm tension. He's always been more than just a horse to her. In Episode 2, that bond deepens again, reminding us why Heartland is as much about healing as it is about family. She finds peace in those simple, wordless moments, and that peace might be what helps her face what's coming next. Jack, as always, stands as the quiet force behind everyone else. He senses the shift long before anyone says it aloud. His instincts have guided this family through storms before, and this time is no different. There's a scene where he sits on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the sunrise. It's a picture of stillness, but his eyes tell another story, a worry that something is approaching, something that could test them all. He doesn't try to stop it. He knows life has its own rhythm. All he can do is prepare the family for it, in his own subtle way. Then there's Lou. Her world is beginning to pull her in opposite directions again. Being mayor means carrying the weight of people's expectations, but being part of Heartland means carrying the weight of love and legacy. In Episode 2, that balance starts to crumble. A promise she made to her family or herself might soon come into question. She tries to hold everything together, smiling through the chaos, but her heart is somewhere between the town hall and the ranch kitchen table. Lou's story this time feels like a mirror for anyone who's ever tried to do it all and realized that sometimes something has to give. As the episode unfolds, every scene carries a quiet sense of buildup. The camera lingers longer on faces, on the landscape, on silence. It's as if the world of Heartland itself is holding its breath. And then, just when you begin to think nothing will happen, a small event, something seemingly unimportant, changes everything. It might be a message, a visitor, or even a memory that refuses to fade. That's where episode 2 begins to stir the emotions again, reminding us that peace at Heartland is never just peace. It's the start of another journey, another choice, another chapter in the family's endless story of holding on and letting go. The wind changes at Heartland, and suddenly, the peace everyone tried to hold on to starts to slip through their fingers. Episode 2 begins to pull the family into something they didn't see coming, a reminder that the past never truly stays buried. It arrives quietly, not as a storm, but as a whisper. Maybe it's a letter left on the porch, or a familiar face showing up when no one expected it. Whatever it is, it brings the kind of silence that makes hearts stop for a second. Amy stands frozen, the world around her slowing down as memories rush back like a flood she thought had dried up. This moment doesn't scream for attention. It's subtle, raw, and deeply emotional. The audience feels Amy's hesitation, the way her breath catches, the way her eyes search for answers in the open fields. She's not afraid, but she's not ready either. For so long, she's been learning to move forward, to live without looking back. But Heartland has a way of reminding her that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning how to live with what remains. The episode uses this truth like a quiet heartbeat, letting us see how every step Amy takes now is shaped by what she's lost and by what she's starting to find again. Jack, watching her from the barn door, knows this feeling too well. He's seen ghosts of his own regrets, lost chances, and moments he wished he'd handled differently. In episode 2, he steps into a new kind of role, not just as Amy's guide, but as someone confronting his own reflections. There's a rare tenderness in his scenes where he speaks little but feels deeply. A shared look between him and Amy tells us everything. Two generations, bound by love, both learning to make peace with their past. The ranch becomes their mirror, showing them not who they were, but who they're still becoming. Meanwhile, Lou's storyline begins to unravel in a way she never planned. The weight of her choices as mayor starts to clash with the needs of her family. A small decision, one that seemed harmless, might carry unexpected consequences. She feels the distance growing, not in miles but in moments. The scene where she tries to call home and hesitates before pressing send captures that perfectly. Heartland isn't just showing a political journey here. It's showing what happens when ambition and love start pulling in opposite directions. Lou's strength has always been her biggest shield. But episode 2 begins to test what happens when that shield starts to crack. And then, there's a sense that something or someone is watching from the edges of the story. The episode hints at an unexpected arrival, maybe a returning face or a message that changes the rhythm of the ranch. It's not loud or dramatic. It's hauntingly gentle, just enough to make viewers sit forward, wondering what it means. That's what Heartland does best. It doesn't need explosions or big reveals. It just needs a single glance, a trembling voice, or a letter carried by the wind to remind us that even in quiet places, change never stops coming. Night falls over the Heartland Ranch, and the air feels different, thicker, heavier, almost alive with the weight of what's just happened. Episode 2 reaches the moment where silence no longer feels peaceful. It feels full of truth, of memories, of things left unsaid for far too long. The moonlight spills across the barn, touching every detail that has carried this family through years of loss and love. Amy stands there again, beside Spartan, her hand resting gently on his neck. She isn't crying, but her stillness speaks louder than any tear could. This is where her journey bends towards something new. Not an ending, but a quiet beginning. The emotion in this moment is not loud or dramatic. It's calm and heavy, like the pause before dawn. Amy whispers something we can't quite hear, and Spartan shifts slightly, as if he understands. That bond between a woman and her horse, between a human heart and the spirit of the wild, has always been the soul of Heartland. Episode 2 lets it bloom again, not through grand words, but through stillness. It's as if the entire ranch exhales with her. She's not the same woman she was at the start of the season. She's softer now, but stronger too. The pain hasn't disappeared. It's simply turned into something she can finally carry. Jack joins her quietly. No need for long speeches. He stands beside her, hat in hand, his eyes on the same horizon. He tells her something simple, something like, "You did good, Amy." Those 4 words carry the weight of everything he feels: pride, love, and the kind of understanding that doesn't need to be explained. The camera might linger here, showing how generations of this family keep finding light even in the hardest nights. The scene reminds us that strength doesn't always mean standing tall. Sometimes it means standing still and letting yourself feel. At the same time, Lou faces her own reflection in the glow of her office window. The town lights flicker outside, and for a moment, she doesn't know whether she's more at home in the city or back on the ranch. But something inside her softens. She realizes that no matter how far she goes, Heartland will always be the place that reminds her who she is. It's not about choosing between worlds, it's about learning that she belongs to both. That realization might seem small, but it's one of the most powerful parts of the episode. As the credits near, we see the ranch again, quiet, golden, alive. The fences, the horses, the sky painted in soft twilight. Nothing explosive happens. No shocking twist, no cliffhanger that screams for attention. Instead, the magic of Heartland lies in its simplicity. Episode 2 ends with a promise, one that isn't spoken aloud but felt deeply by anyone watching. Life will keep changing, the seasons will keep turning, but the heart of this family, this land, will always remember. And as the screen fades to black, we're left with that familiar ache that Heartland always gives us, the feeling of home, of love, and of stories that never really end. The first light of dawn breaks across the hills, and the world of Heartland slowly wakes again. The sky glows soft orange, the kind of color that carries hope even after the darkest night. Episode 2 doesn't end with finality, it opens a door. It reminds us that even when the heart feels heavy, morning always finds its way back. Amy steps out of the barn, her boots pressing into the cool earth, and for the first time in a long while, her eyes aren't searching for what's gone. They're looking toward what's next. This small change, this quiet shift in her gaze is what Heartland has always been about. Healing that doesn't shout, but whispers. The episode leaves behind a trail of emotions that don't fade with the credits. There's the echo of Jack's quiet strength, Lou's determination to find balance, and the calm power of the ranch itself. Each character carries something unseen, a promise, a lesson, or a hope they can't yet name. That's what makes Heartland feel so alive. It doesn't just show you stories. It lets you feel them, breathe them, and carry them with you long after the episode ends. Episode 2 gives us that feeling once again. The stillness after the storm. The peace that comes not from forgetting, but from accepting that life keeps moving, even when you're not ready. Amy's smile in the final moments isn't wide or showy. It's small, almost hesitant, but it's real. She looks out at Spartan, then to the open land stretching endlessly before her. That's the unspoken message of this story. No matter how deep the loss, no matter how many times life changes its rhythm, there's always another sunrise waiting. Heartland doesn't chase happy endings. It shows us how to build them, one quiet day at a time. And in episode 2, you can feel that rebuilding begin. It's fragile, but it's there, a heartbeat returning after being still for too long. The wind moves through the trees, carrying with it the laughter of Lindy, the bark of Remy, the clatter of hooves against wood. Life goes on at the ranch, the same way it always has, and yet, everything feels new again. That's the beauty of Heartland. It captures how even the smallest changes can mean everything. The ranch remains the same, but the people within it evolve, piece by piece, moment by moment. Episode 2 captures that transformation with honesty and warmth, reminding us that home isn't just a place, it's the feeling of belonging. No matter how far you've wandered. As the music fades and the screen turns to black, there's a lingering calm, A soft take that says there's more to come. The Bartlett-Fleming family isn't done growing, loving, or learning. The next chapter will bring new challenges, but also new light. Heartland doesn't just tell a story, it becomes part of yours. And as the sun rises higher over the ranch, one truth remains clear: love doesn't end with goodbye. It begins again with every sunrise. The wind moves softly through the open fields, carrying with it the quiet hum of life returning. The fences stand strong, the horses graze peacefully, and the ranch glows under the rising sun. It's more than a place, it's a living memory, breathing with every heartbeat that ever called it home. Episode 2 ends, but its feeling lingers like the warmth after rain. That's the magic of Heartland. It doesn't simply tell a story. It stays with you, quietly shaping the way you see love, loss, and the courage to begin again. As the final moments of the episode fade, the camera lingers on the land itself. The hills roll endlessly, the sky stretches wide, and the river glistens in the distance. These aren't just background shots. They are symbols of what Heartland stands for: endurance, faith, and the beauty of life's simplest truths. Amy's journey, though marked by pain, now feels lighter. There's strength in her stillness, a calm in her steps. You can see it in the way she holds her breath before letting it go, as if finally releasing everything she couldn't say. The spirit of Heartland isn't in the words. It's in these quiet, breathtaking pauses where the story says everything without needing to speak. Jack's steady presence remains the soul of the family. Even as time changes everything around him, his wisdom never fades. In episode 2, we see his love not just through what he says, but in what he allows others to discover on their own. That's the beauty of his character. He doesn't control the story, he anchors it. Lou's determination continues to shine, though it carries the weight of responsibility. Her strength mirrors the land itself, tested by storms, but always standing tall afterward. Every character in Heartland mirrors a piece of that landscape. Amy is the open field, Jack is the mountain, Lou is the steady river. Together, they create the story's heartbeat. But perhaps the most powerful part of episode 2 isn't in what we see, it's in what we feel. The ranch seems to whisper a truth we all need to hear. Healing never happens all at once. It comes slowly, through ordinary days, through love that doesn't demand attention, and through faith that life always finds its way forward. When Amy walks toward the sunrise in the final frame, it's more than just a scene, it's a message. The kind that quietly tells you that no matter where you are, your heart can find its way home again. As the credits roll, you can almost hear the faint sound of hooves in the distance and the laughter of family echoing through the wind. The story doesn't end, it simply rests, ready to rise again with the next episode. That's the legacy of Heartland. It reminds us that even after heartbreak, the land remembers, the people endure, and love always comes back around. The spirit of Heartland lives on, not just in the ranch, but in every heart that still believes in second chances. The screen fades to soft light, the kind that feels more like a memory than a moment. The ranch lies quiet now, the day slipping into its golden hour. Somewhere, a horse neighs in the distance, and the sound blends with the wind as if the land itself is speaking. This is where episode 2 leaves us, not with noise, but with an echo of love, of resilience, of everything Heartland has ever stood for. The world doesn't pause for pain here. It carries it gently, teaching us that strength is not in moving fast, but in not giving up. Amy stands at the gate, her hand resting on the worn wood, looking at the horizon like it's both a goodbye and a beginning. The light hits her face in that perfect stillness, and for a heartbeat, she seems to see the past and future all at once. Maybe she's remembering Ty's laughter, or maybe she's thinking about Lindy's smile. Either way, her heart feels open again, still tender, still marked by grief, but open. That's what makes her journey so human. She doesn't run from her pain. She learns how to live alongside it. And in that choice, Heartland reminds us that healing is not forgetting, it's forgiving the moments that hurt and letting them become part of who we are. Jack watches her from the porch, his figure outlined against the fading light. He knows what she's thinking because he's thought it too. Every generation of this family has faced loss, love, and change, yet the land always brings them back to themselves. His eyes, calm and steady, carry a wisdom that doesn't need words. You can tell he's proud not because Amy is strong, but because she's real. That's the legacy he's built here. Not just a home, but a way of living that honors the heart in every struggle. The camera slowly pans across the ranch past the stables, the fences, the open sky until it settles on the hills bathed in soft amber light. The world feels infinite for a moment, and you realize why Heartland has lasted so long. It's not just a show about a family. It's about the rhythm of life itself, the breaking, the mending, the enduring. It's about how every loss plants a seed for something new to grow. Episode 2 captures that truth so quietly that you almost miss it. But it's there in every scene, every look, every breath of wind that crosses the fields.